Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Paul tipped me off to an interesting story, and I did some research on it. Came up with a couple different tellings of it as the story has evolved, and it's actually dragged on for so long now that that's part of the story. But there's a Melrose Place actress named Amy Lokane, and I could be mispronouncing her name, and if I am, I apologize. But she was involved in an accident, a car accident in 2010, a DWI case. And she's now about to be sentenced for the fourth time for that accident. And crazier is that this case sent her to prison. She spent her time in prison, got out, and now could be facing more jail time? So, a part of the story I'm getting from the New York Daily News, a story by Storm Gifford, but also the Associated Press. I'll get some more details from there. But Amy Lokane was the former Melrose Place star who has long completed her prison sentence for a DWI death, might be heading back behind bars for the same case. She's 48 years old and was involved in an incident that killed a New Jersey woman and seriously injured her husband in a horrific collision. The couple was turning into their driveway when Locain slammed into their slow-moving vehicle at approximately 53 miles per hour. She was convicted of vehicular manslaughter. Now, prosecutors had sought a 7-year jail sentence for her, but the trial judge went lenient on her and only sentenced her to 3 years. So then an appeals court ruled that the judge had misapplied the law and said that no extra jail time would be tacked on at that time. But it's gone back and forth a bunch of times. Now, here's the deal. She had faced up to 10 years, and the trial court at the first sentencing cited that Locain had young children, including a daughter, who had health issues, and said that was a mitigating factor in his sentencing. The defense had contended the crash was an accident and that a third motorist whose car the actress had bumped into at a traffic light before the accident distracted her by honking at her and chasing her after being rear-ended. Now, the indictment charging Locain actually didn't mention intoxication, but a state expert testified her blood level was likely 3 times the legal limit regarding blood alcohol, and that she was speeding 53 and 35. The jury acquitted her of aggravated manslaughter, but convicted her of the lesser offense, vehicular manslaughter. The judge, however, downgraded that to a third-degree offense and imposed the lightest sentence possible for the third-degree offense. So the state took it up on appeal, and an appeals court in 2016 ordered a resentencing, and the panel instructed the judge to offer additional justification for his decision to downgrade the charge. After Reed gave her essentially the same sentence in 2017, an appeals court wrote last year that the sentence was a hair's breadth away from being illegal and ordered the lower court to try again. So that would have been the third sentencing, and now we're talking about the fourth sentencing. And again, this case happened, the accident happened in 2010. So her attorney now says he's going to appeal to the New Jersey Supreme Court because she spent time in jail, got out on parole, served her parole, and then thought, okay, it's all over. Except that a court said, no, you got to go back and get resentenced, and you might get resentenced in such a way that you go back to jail. So her attorneys, of course, are arguing that this would be double jeopardy, but the court has ruled that a different judge incorrectly sentenced her, sent the case back for another sentencing, and so now her attorney vows to appeal this to the New Jersey Supreme Court. So here we are 10 years later. The attorney for her says she's been out of prison for 5 years. It's been 2 years since she completed parole. During this entire time, she's done everything they've asked her to do, and it's difficult to explain to her kids why 5 years later, mommy is being put back in prison. In 2017, at one of the prior sentencings, Locain said the tragedy was a daily reminder of the grief she had inflicted. There hasn't been a day that's gone by that I don't think of Helene. That's the woman who died. I feel terrible for her family. I know that they're hurting. I know they're grieving. I've said that I'm sorry over and over to them, but I feel like it falls on deaf ears. In case you're curious, because I had no idea who this woman was. Her big break came in 1990 when she starred opposite Johnny Depp in Crybaby. I only laughed because I saw parts of the movie. Not because the movie was funny. She appeared in 2 early 1990s films featuring Brendan Fraser, School Ties and Airheads, before playing Jessica Lange's daughter in 1994's Blue Sky, which again explains why I've never seen her in a movie. And I don't watch Melrose Place, so again, but I know people who have. So, but it's a strange legal quandary, I guess, because trying to explain this in a nutshell, she got convicted of a crime and got sentenced. She then went to serve her sentence. The prosecution, the people, said, hey, that sentence was too lenient, and they took it up on appeal. Higher court said, correct, we're going to send it back down for resentencing. Same judge, in essence, said same sentence applies, give a slightly better rationale for it. Sent her, did the sentence. Then people appealed that again. Appeals court says, you know something? We still think it's too lenient. Sent it back down again. Third time. The problem is that these things don't happen quickly. It's a year here and a year there. And so somewhere along the line in this process, she's 3 years behind bars and then parole, and then she gets out and finishes that while this appeals process is just wandering along like they always do. So the situation is that they are appealing this, and it looks like she could get a harsher sentence than the one she has already served. And the question is, if you do your time and you're done, can they come back and say, nah, you know something, you should have done more time? And the double jeopardy issue, to me, I'm not sure if that's the correct one, because double jeopardy says you can't be tried twice for the same crime. And here they don't want to try her again. They simply want to re-sentence her. But I can see the argument here, because as you can imagine, this opens a can of worms. If anybody can be re-sentenced to have their sentence elongated, but the problem, of course, is we always hear about them appealing, trying to get their sentences the sentences shortened. So I don't know. It's a very, very weird one. So we'll see what happens. But again, she theoretically could be going to prison. I know that they're asking for her to be able to post some money to keep her out while this is pending. And they're going to ask the New Jersey Supreme Court to decide. But one of the mitigating factors, I think, here is through no fault of her own, the clock ran out. And we've seen situations where people stall and delay and file motions and trust me, lawyers know all about this, just to stall, to buy time. And here, she got sentenced, served her time. All of the appeals are being filed by the other side. And so, I would think that somewhere along the line, the people should have said, either it's not worth pursuing anymore because she served her time, she's out now, or they should have earlier on tried to expedite the appeals. Most states, courts, systems have processes where you can ask to have something expedited. And it's not uncommon. The people say it's an emergency, we need this expedited. And here, the reason you're asking for the expedition is that you are saying that, hey, this person's in jail and they're about to be released, or they're on parole, they're about to be done with that, and we're asking for them to be resentenced. And it would make sense that we want that to be heard before the sentence runs out, okay? But, hey, that's just me, and I'm just an attorney in Michigan, not in New Jersey. So who knows how things happen in New Jersey. Melrose Place star Amy Lokane ordered to astounding 4th sentencing for a 2010 DWI case. And yes, in theory, she could be ordered to go back to jail, despite the fact that she served 3 years and then served 3 years of probation, did all that successfully, and at one point in time was told you're done. So, crazy case. Paul, thanks for passing on. Questions, comments, below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Rather than a beep or a rude message, these words: file not found.